Outlaws of Thunder Junction is out, and I can't wait to play some Commander with these new cards. And the best place to do that is at your local game store. More on that later. Right now, with so many new legendary creatures, like more than 50 in this set, I gotta find the right deck to play. Hey everyone, my name is DJ, and you might have seen me online. I'm part of the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and today I'm gonna find the best deck to bring to my local game store. You know, whenever I'm looking for inspiration, a lot of time I turn to the pre-constructed decks because they are built so well. And there's one that's caught my eye, Grand Larceny. It's a Sultai deck led by Gaunty Canny Inquisitor. Stealing things and playing with your opponent's deck is so much fun. But going through this deck list, I see a bunch of favorite cards, but as I came to the other legendary creature, I was immediately in love with Felix 5 Boots. Felix 5 Boots is 2 black, green, blue for a 5/4 legendary creature Ooze Rogue. It has Menace and Ward 2. If a creature you control dealing combat damage to a player causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So some of my favorite cards in this pre-constructed deck, Dazzling Sphinx and Fallen Shinobi and Thief of Sanity and Tygon Predator, they all attack, do amazing things, destroying artifacts, stealing cards, casting things for free. And not only do I get to do that every single turn, but Felix makes them do it again. I get a second trigger. So I was tempted by Gaunty, but I'm gonna make a deck around Felix 5 Boots. I like decks that have the potential to snowball, do amazing things, and get tons of value. And that's what this deck can do. I always am gonna have something to do because I'm gonna have an insane amount of card draw. And I can draw a card for every creature that connects. Orin Frostfang, Toski Bear of Secrets, and Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. There's even more, the Indomitable, Coastal Piracy, Reconnaissance Mission, Biden of Thassa. I'm gonna be drawing so many cards, and then with Felix, I'm gonna draw double that amount of cards. Actually, that might be too many cards. I might have to limit that category a little bit. Okay, but with all this card draw, I'm gonna need some ramp. How about Orochi Soul Reaver, Old Gnawbone, Centaur Rootcaster, Grim Hireling? Or for an unconventional piece of ramp, how about Thada Adel Inquisitor? Everyone's running a Soul Ring in their deck, so I'm going to hit you with Thada Adel and ramp with your own Soul Ring. You know, ramp is always nice, but I'd rather just cast my spells without paying mana for them. If Grima Sauron's Footman makes contact with an opponent, I get to reveal cards until I hit an instant or sorcery, and I can cast that for free. Or a favorite of mine, Fallen Shinobi. Nice new art over there. When it deals combat damage to a player, they exile the top 2 cards, and I can play them without paying their mana cost. Dazzling Sphinx is a fun way to cast things for free. Nashi Moon Sage Scion has me paying life to cast spells. That's basically free. I guess if we're really rounding out the deck, we're going to want to focus on some interaction. So let's double up my destruction by putting it on a combat trigger. Tygon Predator destroys artifacts and enchantments. Aberrant Glissa Sunslayer. Blade Griff Prototype, that's a little bit of political destruction. Cephalid Constable lets me bounce any permanent, including lands, and I can augment the power with other cards in this deck and Felix doubling it up. Yeah, this might make me the archenemy. Atrata the Silencer exiles a creature when it deals combat damage, but it could also just win me the game. You can tell that this is a creature deck. I'm going to be doing a lot of combat damage. Let's go wider with creature generators like Turvagon making extra creatures, or Spawnwraith making extra copies of itself. Spawnwraith can get out of control, and imagine if each one of them double triggers. So many Spawnwraiths. And then we can get some equipment like Wand of Orcus or Scepter of Celebration, making a ton of tokens. Actually, we've opened up a new category. Equipment is great in this deck because a lot of equipments have powerful combat triggers. So we've got cards like Lost Jite from the set, getting counters on them, untapping lands, making sure that creatures can't block. That's going to be huge for getting in combat damage, and that's what we need to get all of these triggers. Mask of Riddles, again, gets damage through and gives us card draw, and then we could just pick whatever swords we happen to have in our binder. I'm trying to decide between a Sword of Feast and Famine and a Sword of Truth and Justice. I like the idea of untapping all my mana, but I think I might have a +1/+1 counter synergy hidden somewhere in this deck too. There are other cards that put combat triggers on any creature, kind of like equipment, and I want to look at Cypher. Arcane Heist is a new Cypher card from the Precon. It has you casting cards from your opponent's graveyard for free. Stolen Identity has you creating token copies of target artifact or creature. It's like building your own spawn wraith. And Writ of Return brings your creatures back from the graveyard. Equipment can give a lot of creatures combat damage triggers, so can Cypher, but then there's also the mechanic of backup. Backup is great. There's Doomscar Warrior, Archpriest of Shadows, again that recursion we're looking for. I think my favorite is Conclave Sledge Captain. It's got 3 instances of backup, which means we're going to give 3 other creatures this great combat trigger, which piles on +1/+1 counters. Actually, in a deck with so many creatures and ways to really go wide on the board, +1/+1 counters are going to be really successful. Drana, Liberator of Malakir, Kazur, Ruthless Stalker, and Necropolis Regent. All right, I've gone a little bit over the top with all these triggers. If left unchecked, I will obliterate everyone with value. But if I want this deck to do well, I have to address some of the potential weaknesses to make sure that it's well-rounded. I think the first thing I want to talk about is curve. This is an aggro deck. I need to connect with specific creatures, and hopefully multiple times. Let's get some speed with Deeproot Wayfinder, a good way to get some ramp. Ayara's Oathsworn, it gets bigger every time, but then also can draw or tutor cards a little bit later. Dokushi Silencer allows you to use maybe some of that immense card draw that we have and turn those extra cards that we can't deploy into removal spells. And then there's Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel. Filtering is going to be really good, but also we're going to be casting free spells with that super quickly. Another weakness is that this deck needs creatures. And if our opponents board wipe, we have to suddenly rebuild everything, and that slows us down. So protection like Heroic Intervention or Fierce Guardianship or March of Swirling Mist or Malakir Rebirth is going to be very important. All right, I've built the deck. It looks sweet. I'm going to be smashing in, drawing cards, playing things for free, stealing things. I'm going to build my army up with +1/+1 counters. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to want to play it. And so I'm going to take it to my local game store. In fact, there's a commander party going on at your local game store from April 26th to May 2nd. This commander party is a thematic event. You're going to be thrown into the world of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and there's even to be special cool rules only found at these events. Everyone joins the commander table as an upstanding citizen. Of course we are. But as the game progresses, so do the benefits of turning outlaw. Will you turn on your fellow players and snatch that advantage for yourself going on the run? Or will you remain the upright citizen and hold everyone accountable? I got a store locator in the description, and that'll help you find a store that has one of these commander parties. So get your commander deck ready. Maybe you're going to make a Felix deck. I think it's an awesome choice. I can't wait to see some of you at a commander party. Bye-bye, everyone.